Vertex form. So first I'm going to take the constant and move it over to the left-hand side. Then I'm going to divide the leading coefficient out. Four divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Then take the b value and divide it by 2. 1 divided by 2 is 1/2, and it's positive. And this is the most confusing part for students. We need to square this. So you can plug it into your calculator or go off to the side, and by squaring it, you're taking it times itself. So 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. Draw an arrow now from the 4 over to the value of 1/4. We have just attached this value. It doesn't have a 1/4 value. It's 4 times 1/4. And most of you can see that 4 times 1/4 is the equivalent to 1. If you can't, then take it, divide it on the calculator, and you'll see the answer is 1. So I've just attached a value of positive 1 on the right. So on the left, I need to also attach a value of 1. Very last step, moving this 36 to the opposite side, it becomes a negative 36. And this is the vertex form, rewritten from standard to vertex form. What does it reveal? It reveals it has a vertex of negative 1/2 and negative 36. It reveals that it opens upward because this value is positive. And the last one is often most difficult for students to remember. Vertically stretch by a factor of 4. And we use the word stretch because this value is greater than 1. Okay, I'm going to rewrite the equation which was in standard form. And now I'm going to put it in factored form, also known as intercept form. Okay, so I'm looking at 4, 4, and 35. I'm trying to find out if there is a number that I can divide or factor out of each one of these, and there is not. So I have 4x squared plus 4x minus 35. 4 times negative 35 is negative 140. And I need to think of a combination that multiplies to receive an answer of negative 140 and combines to give you positive 4. So I'm just going to go through the process. 1 and 140, no. 2 and 70, no. 140 does not nicely divide by 3. 140 divided by 4. So 4 and 35, they do not combine to give you a 4. Let's try 140 and 6. Doesn't work. 140 and 7 will not work. Oh, it does work. I have 7 and 20. 7 and 20 still do not get this number. 140 and 8, 140 and 9, and 140 and 10. And here I can see that 10 and 14 can combine to give you 4 and also multiply to give you 140. So what would the combination have to be? Oops, sorry guys. The combination would have to be a positive 14 and a negative 10. Because the leading coefficient is different than 1, we need to do the bottoms up method. And now I'm going to reduce. So 14 over 4 reduces to 7 over 2. And this reduces to 5 over 2. I am just fine with you stopping here. You can also write it in this form. So what does this reveal? There is a hidden positive 1 here. So it reveals that it opens upward. Since this number is not between 0 and 1 and it's not greater than 1, we can't say it stretches or that it compresses. And we can say that the x-intercepts occur at -7/2, 0, and at +5/2, 0, which as a decimal is -3.5 and +2.5. We're going to do a quick sketch. So I'm first going to find the vertex of -1/2 and -36, and I'm literally just going to estimate here. Okay, so there's -10, there's -20, -30, so right around here, -1/2 and -36. So I found the vertex. As a reminder, in standard form, the constant is the y-intercept. So -35 is the y-intercept. And we had x-intercepts of -3.5 and +2.5. -3.5, +2.5. So as it's going up, it's also being pulled to the left, and as it's going up, it's also being pulled to the right. Domain. There's no restrictions how far it goes to the left or to the right. Range. There is a restriction how low it goes. It goes as low as 36, but there is no restrictions how high it goes. End behavior. As I analyze the graph, as I go to the far left, we can see the function is headed up. And as I go to the far right, we can also see the function is headed up. Okay, your last one, even though we've already identified the two solutions as +2.5 and -3.5, we are going to use either the quadratic formula or completing the square method to solve. So I'm going to take the equation that we were given, and I'm going to set it equal to 0, and I'm going to choose to use the completing the square method to solve this. Move 35 to the opposite side. Factor out of 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Divide both the left and the right by 4. Now I'm going to take the b value and I'm going to divide it by 2. 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. And now I need to square 1/2. Remember that 1/2 squared is the same as 1/2 times 1/2. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Since I just attached a positive 1/4 here, I have to also attach a positive 1/4 on the right-hand side. And I could use the calculator to combine these, or you can see that since you have a common denominator, 4 remains in the bottom, and 35 plus 1 is 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9. Now this tells me I'm going to have two answers. To eliminate the square, I square root both sides. Square root of 9 is 3. Now I move the 1/2 to the opposite side. One time I'm going to add, the second time I will subtract. And you can use a calculator to do that if you prefer. So negative 0.5 plus 3 is 2.5. You could write it as a decimal, or you could write it as a fraction, your choice. Then again, negative 0.5 subtract 3, you could write negative 3.5, or you could put it into a fraction form for negative 7/2.